Hi, Dr. Pram. How are you?
Hello, Preeti. I'm really excited about today.
What are you in the mood for today?
Something fermented.
Sounds good. That's why Tara's here.
Tara is here because she is the queen of fermentation.
Wow, thank you.
Yes.
So, can you state your name and
Yeah,
talk about your restaurant?
Yeah, of course. My name is Tara Whitsett. I am a fermentation cafe and specialty shop owner, which means as a specialty shop, I make all of my ferments in-house here and I sell them as products retail. I also have a cafe in which I integrate those ferments into the foods we're serving. More so a very simple menu just to introduce people to the products and the different array of fermentations we do. We make fermented vegetables. We always have a rotating kombucha that we make with seasonal ingredients. We also make sourdough bread and tempeh. So there's a lot to explore here. We're really here to share our love for fermentation and get people excited about trying something new. It's also really healthy. There are a lot of negative health outcomes in today's world from eating more industrialized foods, and we're definitely on the other side of that, trying to promote something that is positive and healthy and also just really vibrant. We are definitely big. We're big supporters of playing with different flavors, finding new flavor combinations. We're always working seasonally, so we never want to have the same thing year after year. We're always introducing new items.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. That's exciting. I've eaten at your restaurant, and one of my favorite is the tempeh Reuben, the vegan one, and it's really delicious. And I see how you've combined different flavors in there. You have hummus, and you bring out these little different sauces to go with it, which have from different parts of the world almost. And
yeah, condiments are a special addition in a lot of our foods, and that's a way in which we get to play as well. Something that's really popular that we do is the cultured ketchup, and that's integrated on the vegan sandwich.
Right.
It also comes as a side with the tempeh Reuben. In it's tomato paste with pomegranate molasses, a little bit of cider vinegar, and then fermented with kimchi brine from our actual house kimchi. So that's how we culture it. And then, of course, the kimchi is a wild fermentation product. All of our vegetable ferments, we ferment wildly here at the shop.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I've eaten your kimchi over and over again. I always put your kimchi on an avocado toast. That's how I eat my,
So happy to hear that.
So
what inspired this concept?
So I worked in fermentation education, and I also wrote about fermentation before venturing into commercial production. We're definitely starting to grow the product line, looking into a second space now. So we are at a big growth juncture where we can either, do a big next step and do more commercial work, or that, we would just be here and be a staple in the community, which we'll be regardless. But, we definitely have gotten to a point where we need space. Before doing commercial production, I was teaching, I was writing about fermentation, and I had a nonprofit called Fermentation on Wheels. It was a sponsored nonprofit, and it was really like an art and educational project in which I was engaging learners through the intersection of food and art. So I took a old military bus from the 80s and converted it into a laboratory, a library, a workshop space, and I drove it all around the country. I circumnavigated the country twice over the course of 7 years. And I invited people on the bus to learn. And, when you're introduced to this new kind of space, and it shows you a different way of of doing something that is fun and exciting and also very delicious. I think it sparked a lot of curiosity, and it was at a great time in the world. I think, just before we felt like the divide as much as we feel today. I feel like it was easier to just drive around the country and talk to anyone, and there was no, it didn't ever feel like there was politics. There was a lot more openness. And
But did you grow up this way? Fermented, your parents?
I did not grow up this way.
So let's say, where did you grow up?
So I grew up in Texas, in Dallas and Houston primarily.
Okay.
I'm definitely exposed to other cultures. I mean, Houston is a very multicultural city, so we grew up with a lot of great international cuisine at our fingertips, which was wonderful. I went to high school right next to Little Vietnam. We always had the best Mexican food, Thai food. Chinatown in Houston is enormous. So, I was really fortunate to grow up in a place where we had great food, access to different foods. And I think that a lot of what I do today is to help transport me to places in the world that, the flavors really excite me. I mean, my family, they were Midwestern farmers for the most part. My grandparents really ventured off in that they went to school, so they, kind of grew in a different way from their family, as they were always farmers. Both sides of my family, they decided to go to school, study science, become engineers.
So went from being farmers to being engineers.
Yeah, and then the Midwest food culture, very much like butterscotch pie, lots of cornstarch and milk and sugar.
Potatoes.
Yeah, and cheese whiz. Like, I was looking at some of my grandmother's recipes that she used to make, and last year I really wanted to see if I could make some of hers and then maybe put a twist on them that would be more to my taste. And I had a very hard time being able to do it. It was like not, just so much of it was not really,
so adaptable.
Not as adaptable. Mostly just the amount of additives that were put into the foods. I was like, why do you need this? And then I find out, oh, it's for this texture, so I can find something else to mimic that texture. But I think ultimately I was like, I'll try that next year. So I haven't really explored my family's food traditions as much as I would have liked, but I feel like that has always been a void for me, and it's something that I've always wanted to fill, because I love food so much, and food has been so low on the list of priorities for most of my family. Like, why would you, for them, they think of this as a hobby.
That's correct.
Yeah, it's not my work, and
this cannot be work. This is something you do in your spare time.
Right. Where, for me,
this is life.
I could do this all the time, 24/7. It's just, I'm obsessed and I love it, and I want to share it with more people and bring them into the world of fermentation as well. So and also learning how to make it, and really seeing food as something that is so incredibly important for supporting a community, and that you need people who will work in that realm and take it seriously and really understand it as a specialized skill, and we need it. It is something that makes us better as a community.
Which is interesting is that you didn't grow up with that, but you ventured into it, right? Mm-hmm. I'm just thinking about, I come from India, and so does Prreeti, and we grew up with that. So we didn't know any other way that, we would have food that was fermented or freshly cooked or whatever. So it's sort of unique coming from Texas without that exposure. Something moved you in that direction.
Yeah, I think I've always been envious of that too, and I grew up in a very international community, and I had a
Right.
lot of friends who had like just
Tradition.
incredibly strong food traditions in their families, and to like go dine with their families, you were just like I said, being transported, like you're just being transported into a different world. Yeah. And I was like, gosh, I want to build that for myself, and I think that is what I'm trying to do in my best way. And so much of what I'm doing is certainly borrowed from other cultures, and there's a bit of a twist, and that twist is certainly inspired by my market, who I'm serving in this community. But the essence of it, like it all starts from that microbial level. It's like to support fermentation as a practice that is helpful for the community. So yeah.
So would you say that you're using different types of fermentation things like I know you said wild and something like lactic acid or
Yeah, so wild fermentation of vegetables, lactic acid bacteria is what is being produced wildly. In fact, lactic acid bacteria is a very resilient bacteria found in a lot of foods, and it will produce on its own given the right conditions. So just for example, with fermented vegetables, we use salt. And salt is something that lactobacillus loves. It's called a halophile, and that refers to a salt-loving organism. And something really unique about the way we preserve food and salted foods, whether fermented or not, are some of the safest foods throughout all of time. And that is because with salt, you are actually you are keeping the undesirable organisms out. They just they can't thrive in salt. Yeah. So lactobacillus loves salt, and then also once lactobacillus is able to thrive in that environment, lactobacillus in itself is a very competitive organism, and so that again is another measure of food safety in which like nothing else is going to be able to dwell next to nothing undesirable that would cause us harm is going to dwell with lactobacillus in that environment. So fermentation, especially fermented vegetables, is a very, very safe food process that's been used for
ages,
centuries.
Yeah.
So and like even before, like animals in the wild, they ferment their food too. This is like a very ancient practice. I do make kombucha as well, which involves inoculation with a SCOBY, which is an acronym for a symbiotic colony of bacteria and yeast. And that is a specific bacteria and yeast that, it's a culture that I collected a decade ago and I still use it today. I've actually killed it before, and then I was able to recollect it from a friend I had given it to. So, these things can also be sensitive as well if you go too long without taking care of them, because they do need care, and just like a sourdough starter as well. A sourdough is a little unique. Like the kombucha SCOBY, you actually source it, right? There's a source that it comes from. We aren't 100% sure of the primary source of kombucha, but it's believed to be somewhere in present-day China that it was first sourced. So I'm not sure exactly where mine came from, and it is possible that you can create them in laboratories, but I do not think mine was created in a laboratory. And most cultures created in labs are designed to not last many lifetimes. Because they want you to come back and buy.
Of course.
Again.
It's commercial.
Yeah. But these really old cultures that have been around for sometimes hundreds of years, they tend to be extremely resilient and will just continue to last forever if you take care of them. Sourdough is really the process of, anyone can make a sourdough starter at home. given that you take care of it, it will also last a very long time. But it's just flour, water, and bacteria and yeast from the air.
Okay.
You can also add a bit of sugars to really spur the fermentation, since fermentation is, it's a digestion of sugars
Right.
that is converting into acids, gases, sometimes alcohol. So, yeah, these are all really simple processes that involve a bit of different techniques, but
Right.
we do a little bit of all of it here.
All of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So when did you first come across fermentation? How did it, you thought, oh, wow, this is kind of cool and I want to do this?
Yeah, so I was living in Brooklyn, and this was 2011, so a long time ago. I went to the farmer's market, met someone who was just a complete food obsessed human like myself. We hit it off, became friends, and then he said, let me show you how to make sauerkraut. And we did that a few weekends later.
Right.
And it was just so transformative for me. I mean, I had lived an extremely urban life up until this point.
Right.
I mean, I had been in Dallas and Houston and moved to Philly pretty much straight from Houston.
Okay.
I wanted to explore the Northeast. Then I moved to New York City. I got a job in New York City. And I just, it's quite surprising actually that I am in a more rural area, because no one in my family lives in a rural area, and they think this is a little crazy that you can be comfortable, and the fact that you can't walk out your door and go to a coffee shop or live that.
Yeah. I think that was one of the
that
questions.
life. Everything is an access at your fingertips.
Right. Yeah, that was one of the
So-
questions Dr. Pram had. How did you find your way to Warwick, of all places?
Yeah, from all places.
Yeah, it was quite a surprise. I mean, I was living in Oregon for a decade. I mean, that was my residence while I had fermentation on wheels. And that's where I moved after Brooklyn.
Okay.
And so after I made that batch of sauerkraut, I started fermenting all sorts of vegetables. I started making wine and kombucha and water kefir, and I just went nuts. I loved it. I was like, how do I get closer
How
to
cool is this?
world? And I lived in a tiny little Brooklyn apartment. It was not enough space for all the projects I had going on. And then my friend from the farmer's market had a bigger studio, and we would store all of our projects there. And finally, it's I think I want to travel out west and really explore gardening and soil biology, what these microbes are actually doing, and at the beginning level, when the food is actually growing and coming to life, because it was just a world I knew so little about.
Right. Right.
And I guess, making that sauerkraut in my kitchen for the first time, it felt like I was
With the earth.
making touch with some part of me that I had never experienced, that I wasn't in touch with at all.
Right.
And it was the gardener in me. It was I was gardening in my kitchen, bringing life forward. And when you make a jar of sauerkraut, you can watch it if it's in a
You
glass
felt grounded all of
jar.
a sudden.
Yeah, it was such a revelation for me. And then, going to Oregon, that was where I found my bus, which I traveled in for many years and taught out of.
That must be cool, traveling in a military bus.
It was great. It was a lot of work, and
I'm sure it was, yeah.
And I
Yeah.
think, at that point, I just had incredible stamina to be able to do that.
Young and
I was in my mid-20s. I did it up until I was 33 or so. So it was really a good time for me to embark on that. But I mean, driving a bus of that size is exhausting. And then I packed my schedule so tight. There was so much I wanted to do,
so
and
excited
so many
about it.
people I wanted to talk to. And I was also contacted by so many people, and I was all of the jobs were so exciting to me. I was yes, I want to meet all of these people. I want to go to all of these communities and experience these new foods because all the climates were different. I was learning so much about regional food systems at the same time, which was also exciting. Because like the flora and fauna out west is incredibly different from out east into the Midwest and Southwest. And so like you learn so much traveling.
Different ways of doing things in different environments, essentially.
Yeah, definitely.
So at what point did you think this could be a profession?
I mean, I think at the time I purchased the bus. So that was
a
2013.
commitment, right?
Yeah, I mean, I had a crowdfunding campaign, so I raised money, and I didn't meet my goal. Back then, really, it was just Kickstarter that was used for crowdfunding, and Kickstarter, if you don't get your full goal, then you don't get any of the money.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, and I don't know if they still do it that way, but that is how they did it then. And so I reached out to all of the people who had contributed, and I said, look, I didn't get the money, but I'm going to do this anyway. If you would like to contribute, here's how you can do it, and set up an account for it. And then all of the people contribute, pretty much every person.
That's so good.
So yeah, it really worked out. And then, you know, the bus was, I mean, it had been gutted and it had some infrastructure, but I completely redid it. But I didn't redo it before I left.
Okay.
It was like, this is good enough. I'm gonna go and I'm gonna figure it out as I go. So really,
It's very courageous of you.
it was courageous. A little crazy, but yeah. And I mean, I think like all business people
have to
take great risk.
Yes.
And I mean,
But you also had the passion. There was passion in what you were doing.
right, which is very important if you're going to run a business. And I think, you know, sadly, that is not as popular today, that people start businesses they're passionate about. It's more of a way to just make money. And you know, I think my business here in Warwick is very unique in that way. Not to say that there aren't businesses here who don't do that, but a lot of these businesses are more turnkey, like someone sets it up and then they staff it and then they do it again. Yeah, so you know, this has really developed a deep sense of community in that, like, I'm the face and I am.
This is what you're
I'm
attached
here
to.
a lot too. I'm here a lot, so if someone comes in, then they see me and they know me. Or I have 2 employees, and they all know my 2 employees, and they know I trust them with everything that's been built here. So, you know, I think like that moment where you like sign the lease and get the key, like that is like the biggest accomplishment, right? Because you have to like,
now you're committed.
yeah, you can't turn back.
You can't
after
walk
that.
away.
No.
Yeah.
No. But that's, you know, as a business owner myself, I've been in business for 20 years doing what I do. And I always tell people, if you're not passionate about what you do, don't start a business, because it's very hard to sustain yourself, because there's so many ups and downs and you see so many different things. So if you don't feel strongly about it, you're not going to stay there. You know?
Right.
And so if you really want to be committed and stay in business, you really have to be very passionate about what you're doing. And I've always told, you know, everybody, I will eat at restaurants where people really love the food that they prepare, because that's what you're consuming. You're consuming that whole vibration.
Right.
So I think that's why you're here today, right? After going through all the difficulties and different aspects of, you know, looking at food.
Certainly, yeah. And you know, like this business is so much built on the journey of fermentation on wheels. I mean, I discovered so many cool recipes while on the road, especially integrating foraged foods from all of the different regions, and you know, put those recipes into a book. Like I collected all of that information and I wrote it down and perfected the recipes when I was crafting this book, Fermentation on Wheels. And so many of these recipes are in this cafe. and we sell the jars of those recipes. You know, this has been a long time coming. Like all of the recipe development, it's been developed for over a decade, and I think a lot of people don't realize like how much time and love has been put into each recipe that we have here.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I mean, there are a lot of rotating options as well, but so much of it is inspired by things that I've done before, and or if I haven't done it, maybe like something I've eaten at a restaurant where I loved the food and the way they combine certain flavors. Like I will try to bring that into fermentation.
Right.
So
yeah,
it's definitely inspired by something that is much bigger than just me, but I'm certainly like I'm passionate about what I'm passionate about because the flavors are.
Yeah.
You know,
So here you are in Warwick, which is upstate New York, basically. How do you interest the people here? What do you do?
Yeah. So, and I guess that also intertwines with a question you asked about how I ended up here. I came here for a teaching opportunity in Sussex County originally. So that was this summer before COVID, before lockdown. And I ended up getting several more opportunities during that time. I also had some land to plant in. And I have always been farming as I traveled through places. That was like my side work. And I was always working with farmers as it was for the workshops I was conducting. So it just made sense. I would do like a farm stay and work for them while being parked there. If I needed a break from the road, that's what I would do. I would go farm. And so I always had lots of plant life with me. And I was invited to Sussex County to teach, and they wanted a kind of series of educational projects. And I was like, well, look, I could come up there, but I have all these plants and I can't leave them. And they said, oh, we have land. So you know, I moved here and set up a garden, and I taught, and then I met my partner, Adam, and COVID happened. And I think during COVID, it was just such a huge turning point for all of us in very unique ways, and in so many ways too. And you know, for me, it was like the first time where I had to get somewhat planted in a place. I couldn't just travel freely. And I was with someone, which that's never happened before, where I was able to hold on to a relationship for long, because my work would always be taking me to
different places.
Another place. Yeah. And so
you found someone just in time.
Yeah, more or less. And, you know, during COVID, it was like relationships, they either got harder or they got better for most people, right? Because you're stuck with that person all the time.
All the time.
Yeah, and then, well, also I couldn't teach. I couldn't travel.
Right.
And this space became available. It was somewhat abandoned in a way. Like someone had it and they were operating a restaurant out of it, but it wasn't active. It wasn't open. Yeah. So I took the opportunity and I purchased from her. She sold a lot of the equipment to me.
Okay.
So yeah, and then 2021.
Kind of meant to be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You found your partner. You had COVID coming, so you don't have a choice. You can't travel. And then you found this little restaurant for you.
Yeah, so wild. And it was, I guess, September 2020. So that fall, after lockdown, that I started moving in on this space. Signed the lease October 1st, I believe. It moved pretty quickly once it started moving. And then I was pregnant. Found out I was pregnant in December. So that was a surprise. And, you know, it's just been such a wild journey being here, and everything that has like helped root me in this space. And yeah, we're here for now, but it's, you know, I do have goals, like I mentioned, opening a second space, and I think that space, it will be closer to the New York City metro area. So that's where I'm looking.
And now your family is on board with what they think this is a profession and it's good.
More or less, I mean, a lot has changed with my family recently. So, but my mom is visiting quite a bit.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
So the grandchild?
Yeah, I mean, and she has grandbabies in Seattle too,
Okay.
so she goes there on occasion.
Yeah.
And yeah, unfortunately, my father passed last year around this
Oh, sorry
time,
to
so
hear that.
that's been like a big transition for all of it. My mom just retired last month,
I see.
so that wasn't in the plan for her either.
Right.
This has just been from, you know,
Changes.
life throws you circumstances that
Correct.
create big change, and you just kind of go with the flow. So
Right.
we're doing that, and my mom is supportive, definitely. And my brother has always been a big supporter, and he's in Baltimore, so we're nearby, which
Yeah.
is great.
Which helps to kind of regroup, I guess.
I've always been more explorative with food,
Right.
and like I'm not afraid to eat anything.
Okay.
No,
Okay.
I'm
Open.
like very, very adventurous. So, and I mean, fermentation goes in hand with that, certainly.
Yeah. So I see that you do a lot of vegan stuff around here.
Mhm.
Is that something that you pursued or are still pursuing, or is that part of your whole?
So the menu is completely vegetarian, and I do have a lot of vegan options.
Right,
My
right.
mayo is made with egg.
Okay.
And what else? I think just the mayo is what
Has eggs in
makes it
that.
vegetarian. But yeah, I mean, I do, and then I have a pesto which has sheep cheese in it. I sell salami here,
Okay.
and I sell yogurt
Okay.
here as well. But for me, making the menu vegetarian helped me to be more aligned with my primary customer base, because
Got
if
it.
you're cooking a burger right next to some tempeh, that's just,
Yeah, cross.
yeah, there's some cross contamination, and I understand I understand vegetarianism very well. I
Okay.
was one at one point in my life. It was a long time ago, but
Right.
I was making burgers initially. I made a lamb burger here, which was
Mhm.
like a meat option, and yeah, then I guess just like looking at my whole market,
Right. You
I
felt-
decided that I
this
should
is a
keep
better
the
way
menu
to-
vegetarian.
Right.
Also, I'm operating out of a tiny space.
Correct.
So it's really hard to have a menu larger than what it is now anyway. And I think I had to learn that slowly, what was really the sweet spot here for making operations really smooth. And I mean, we definitely closed the shop more. We used to be open Wednesday through Sunday, and then I shifted it to Friday to Sunday because there was so much more work than I could handle.
Right.
And now that I have people working with me, we're open Thursdays as well. But I mean, it's still a process learning how to make everything super efficient here.
Right,
And I'm
right.
like constantly trying to teach myself more about that. So I never had a restaurant before, and that alone is a huge challenge.
Of course, running a restaurant is a 24-hour job. It never stops. You basically have to keep going. And so now you have family, which is your partner, your baby. So you have to divide your time doing that and this.
Yeah.
So is your partner involved in the business, or is he?
He's not. He has a full-time job. He's a carpenter. So he's quite busy with that. But he does help me with certain projects. I mean, like the shelves and this board.
Works out.
He does all of that.
Yeah.
And we're doing some big like community style picnic tables in the next 3 weeks out here.
For outside, yeah.
Yeah, these tables we've had them for a
Lived their
long
life.
time. I got them from the previous business owner, so I've had them almost 5 years, and they're just like the chairs themselves are just not comfortable. I'm like, why do I still have these? But getting outdoor patio furniture is a big investment, and I for a while been wondering, like, am I still doing this cafe restaurant thing, or are the products my main thing? But the cafe is not going away. It is
Right.
what people want.
Right.
You know, they
Right.
love that they can come like taste everything that
Yeah.
I'm selling here, and I understand completely.
Yeah.
So
Do you have any new products that you are working on that?
well, I do. So it is ramp season. We're about to make ramp sauerkraut, which is very exciting.
Mhm.
It's not necessarily new because that's something I make every year, but it's new for the time of year. You know, everything we make here is sourced from local farms, so
And it's
that's
seasonal.
all seasonal. So we really follow New York's timeline as far as what is being harvested,
right.
and you know,
I
people.
think that's the best part, and that's how you should eat. Essentially.
Totally, yeah. And it's, you know, it supports so much more than just your health. It supports like your local economy.
Correct.
You want to
Correct.
really like keep the money with the local people.
Correct.
Because so much is just
Also
being,
helps the farms out because they're not pressured to grow things they cannot at that moment.
yeah,
Continue doing what they do to the best of their ability.
yeah,
So
exactly.
yeah.
So do you make even like alcohol or wine or?
I don't make alcohol. I don't have a liquor license here. I make kombucha. So that's the main fermented drink I do. And then we have a rather extensive coffee menu. So we play with a lot of teas and coffees, and sometimes we'll integrate some of the, like we'll put it into the kombucha, whatever tea we're crafting. We also use a ginger bug, which is like a wild fermented ginger beer
Okay.
drink.
Okay.
And you can flavor that with different teas as well. Yeah, so we really enjoy that. I always get really excited when like the lilac has just started to bloom.
Right.
We make a lilac syrup.
Interesting.
And then we can use that in the kombucha for lilac kombucha. I like to use it with beets, like beets and lilac petals with like a citrus of some variety for it's like a jarred ferment.
How cool is that? Like using flowers and vegetables and
Yeah, and it's
different
very
things.
like spring. So yeah, I love that. I'm making some crackers now that I'm very
Okay.
excited about.
Okay.
They're dehydrated fermented vegetables, fermented carrots and
Wow.
fermented beets. So I mix the fermented carrots and fermented beets with sunflower seeds, pumpkin seeds, and flax. There's also a little olive oil and salt and pepper. And then I spread it out and dehydrate it. Like I have. So I've just started making them. The packaging is kind of underway now.
right.
But
right.
this is what they look like.
They look good.
They're delicious.
Yeah.
They're great. And it's like, it is completely fermented product.
Is it
Interesting.
sweetened or salty?
It's not sweet. It's more on the salty side. I mean, it definitely has a bit of pungence from like the fermented flavor. I make a cashew spread that is mixed with fermented vegetables as well. I mostly do it with the classic, and it has the same essence of like a cream cheese. And it has lemon juice, a little bit of salt, a little bit of pepper, and then sauerkraut blended into
Nice.
soaked cashews. So that's something else that we have been exploring, a lot of just new spreads and condiments, because people really like things they can take home. And
Correct.
really, I'm trying
Correct.
to help people integrate fermentation into their daily lives more than anything. And like, you know, you can come eat all these things, but also
You can
buy
do it
them
at
and bring
home.
them home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
So
you use a lot of nuts and seeds.
Well, I use, I don't know if I use a lot of nuts and seeds. I mean, I definitely, like the pesto we make is a parsley walnut pesto, and we sprout the walnuts. And that's a really great condiment. That's maybe our most popular. It's not fermented, but
yeah.
delicious regardless. But yeah, we don't use a ton of nuts and seeds. These crackers are definitely the seediest thing we have right now. So.
How about lentils, legumes, any of those things? Do you ferment?
Well, I make tempeh. So
Tempeh from-
the
yeah.
tempeh is made with chickpeas, and
Mhm.
that's like our base tempeh for all of the sandwiches.
Mhm.
And then we also source local beans from Genesee Valley Farm, which we get pinto, navy bean, and black beans. So those are like specialty tempehs we make throughout the year. To be completely honest, we have just been making chickpea recently because we have a
Easy.
hard time
Mhm.
making as much as we need. We sell out every week, and I'm trying to figure out how to scale that.
Yeah.
But it really it's not going to be able to happen in this space.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
So that's the other thing, right? Where do you do all this work, all the fermentation and everything, right here, and that's what you jar and.
Yeah.
Wow.
yeah.
It looks like a one-woman kitchen.
We can comfortably fit 2,
Uh-huh.
but 3 is a squeeze. 3 is certainly a squeeze. We have to divide it into zones. I have a barista she manages mostly like the register,
Mhm.
the
And coffee.
espresso machine, and then we'll help with dishes. Everyone does dishes when they can, and then the people who are doing all the food prep, the production, or I'm making food to go, then they're on kind of that side of the kitchen.
So I have a dumb question.
Yeah,
You're fermenting mostly vegetables
for the most part.
or fruit or whatever.
Yeah,
But-
so the fermented vegetables, we always have a stock of it.
Mm-hmm. But you don't ferment any animal product, like meat or...
I don't ferment any meat. I don't make yogurt. I sell yogurt from a small farm who's just north of here. And tempeh, which is plant product,
Yeah.
of course, and then sourdough.
Mhm.
Our sourdough is a huge growing part of the business. It's the best-selling thing I have right now. So that is something I'm always trying to figure out how to accommodate better because I just have a tiny oven here.
You definitely need a bigger space.
I need a bigger space, and I need a steam-injected oven. I need a real commercial oven. There are quite a few real commercial items that I need. Having this space upstairs that I rent now has been enormously helpful for storage and equipment. I have refrigerators up there, but it's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
It doesn't, having one space where we do everything and it's really dedicated to this process is ideal. So
Yeah. So why do you recommend? I mean, that's one of my questions. Is why would you say fermented foods should be a staple in everybody's household? And that question is for you as well, Dr. Pram. So.
Yeah, well, fermentation is really beneficial for your microbiome, and a lot of people's microbiomes are suffering because we haven't eaten a very diverse diet, a very alive diet for the past 30 years, or really since the Green Revolution, when people brought in loads of pesticides and were really prioritizing making more profit
Correct.
over actually making food that is healthy for us, which is kind of,
It's like the GMO generation. They're just kind of changing food forever, essentially.
Right. Yeah, and that is, that really hurts your microbiome. And a lot of people are suffering from years of consuming foods that are
Not
really
consumable.
hurt their bodies. And especially the microbiome. When your gut is not functioning, it's like nothing can function.
Correct.
It's the seat of the immune system.
Correct.
So to really nourish it, you should be eating a good amount of fermented foods because that is how you repopulate the gut, is that you eat other beneficial bacteria, which is what the gut is made out of.
All of you is made out of. It's on your skin, it's in your mouth, it's in your gut, everywhere.
Yes.
And they create the harmony in the body, And then, of course, the mind and the soul and everything stays in a good place. If you don't have it, then you're always going to be, I consider it like marching towards chronic illness if you don't have that balance. As a naturopathic physician, I always talk about this with my patients.
Yeah.
And I really admire what you're doing.
Thank you.
You truly, and I'm saying, gosh, everybody should have this in their neighborhood.
I agree. I
You know.
agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I just recently heard something. I think I, mentioned it to you. People are going in for deworming or parasite detoxes.
Yeah.
So does that make sense?
Well, listen, our microbiomes are made up of bacteria, viruses, parasites, and fungi, all living happily, and they take care of each other. And when they take care of it, and if something comes towards it, it produces the enzymes that go to the brain or to the different parts of your body. So that is your first brain. Okay, and I call it, I say, patients will say, I say to my patients, this is your gut feeling. When you have a gut feeling, these enzymes are working because of the microbiomes.
Right.
So it's important to incorporate this.
Yeah.
And if you're taking something to wipe out one aspect of it, you're changing the dynamic of what is considered healthy in the gut.
Right. Right.
So, I mean, unless you've eaten things that are really full of parasites, I don't know. But the other organisms will take care of it in a certain way.
Right. Right. Yeah. I'm, the parasite detox, I guess that's something if, like, sometimes when people travel, they come in contact with something that can bother them long term.
Right.
But yeah, I'm not sure if that's something that can be, I mean, I'm sure sometimes it could be helped just through diet. Most things can be.
Right.
And fermented foods are a huge part of that medicine.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely, because it's repopulating and creating a dynamic of taking care of that.
Right.
So
Since what fermented foods does is provide the body, the environment, to even if something is not correct in the environment, to correct the environment.
it works on it, yes.
Yeah.
It's always doing that.
Yeah. So
Yeah, it is. And then, there's so much variety within fermented foods as well. So,
right.
I think that when people see it as challenging to integrate fermented foods into their diet, they're thinking like, oh, and then I have to like eat sauerkraut 3 times a day. But it's not like that. Like, there's salami.
Right.
That's something that you can integrate. There's
Is salami then
yogurt,
fermented?
cheese.
Salami
is fermented. And really, like, so many condiments that if you are just adding a little bit of culture, a little bit of that life from some fermented food, you can introduce that into the condiment and then you eat it. I mean, there are so many creative ways to introduce this into your diet so that you're actually getting a little bit at every meal, even.
Yeah.
So old cultures did this
Right.
in the past. I remember reading an article once that in, I don't know, Belgium or someplace, they would make beer and then put it outside during the spring for all the things floating around in the air to come and populate that beer.
Oh,
So that it would be also healthy
right.
for people who are sensitive to those things,
Right. Yeah, and those like quick fermented ales from a lot of them are from like Celtic culture, which is my ancestral roots. Very, very much like I feel when I'm making an herbal botanical ale, it's like a wild ferment. I'm not adding anything.
Right.
I feel like I'm getting in touch with like a really deep part of my past. Yeah.
So I think, Italy's and dosas are wild
Correct.
fermentation.
They are. Yeah. Yeah. So I think, the way we eat Indian foods, we always have a little bit of pickle in there just to kind of give you that juices flowing before you start consuming regular food. So your digestion is better overall. I think it's
Primed.
Yeah, I've heard that is an ideal way to start the meal.
Yeah.
Have a little bit of the fermentation. Yeah. And let it help with the movement and everything.
So do you make your own apple cider?
Yeah, I mean,
Apple cider vinegar, that is.
I have. I mean, I haven't done it in a while just because I can source it here and it's hard for me to make everything from scratch.
Of course.
And we use a fair amount of it. You know, I really haven't even made these like ales and wines that I used to love making since my son was born. Yeah. So.
But see how big the gamut is of doing fermented foods.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it's endless. And it's like happening everywhere all the time around us. You know, it's like this ever coursing like pulse of life that happens. So,
Yeah.
Which is one of the things we talk about is eat fresh food.
Eat fresh food. Eat fresh. If you're eating processed, this is the good kind of processed food that you should be eating. Where, you know, it's provided a natural process to kind of provide you the best in your gut, essentially.
Yeah.
And this is such a quick food. If you have it prepared already, you kind of just access it quickly. You're done with your preparation. So you're not eating food that's not healthy for you.
Correct.
Yeah.
And it tastes good.
Yes.
It tastes really good.
It's very good.
Yeah.
Delicious.
Yeah. So I just want to, leave you with this, but what is the message you would like to give our audience, your customers, everybody?
Yeah, I think the message that I would like to make through fermentation is that it's important to recognize this is a community project. You know, this is never something that's created by just one person. It is all of the smaller parts put together to really make some kind of transformation and to build that strong community, of course, as well. But I mean, these microbes and what they do in fermented foods, it is like a metaphor for how we can live our lives in the most resilient way as well.
Right.
In harmony. Right?
Yes,
That's
definitely.
the beautiful thing.
It is.
So for the mind, body, and soul, Dr. Pram, it's a 10.
It is totally a 10 plus. It's a 10 plus.
It is a 10 plus.
I really commend you. The great thinking.
And congratulations on doing
all
this.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah. And so to our audience, I would say get real food.
Get real food.
And eat it. Thank
Yes.
Thank you
You're
so
welcome.
much. Thank you.
Yeah.
That's great pleasure.
My pleasure as well.
And I learned a lot.
Great.
you. Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
It's so easy to do this, like DIY at home. It's
That was one of my questions
One of the
too.
easiest processes.
How would I start doing it at home? Is the other part of this is like, how do I begin if I wanted to do it?
Yeah, and it's really just vegetables, salt, massage, pack, put a weight on top. It's anaerobic, so you want it to be below the water it creates via osmosis when the salt pulls it forth. Weigh it down, give it a week, maybe less if it's hot, like right now. And once you pull up that weight and taste it, it will be fermented. It will taste like a
water
pickle.
and salt?
Yeah.
You don't even add the water. The water comes
just
from
the vegetable.
Yeah.
But then
the
how
salt,
do you get
the water comes from.
vinegary kind of a taste?
It's the microbes.
Ah.
That's the transformation.
Ah.
That's the fermentation. And because lactobacillus, lactic acid bacteria, loves salt and it thrives in that environment, it just happens all on its own.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like incredibly easy. And I mean, I have a lot of approachable educational information online that you can read. My website, fermentationonwheels.com, I have a blog there, but I am updating my Drifter Ferments website to also have educational resources. So hopefully by the time this airs...
Yeah, we can put your links in the episode that way.
Great.
And I can tell all my patients
Yes.
Come
this
here.
link, come
Yeah.
on here, or even order it or whatever.
Yeah,
I don't
and
know.
you can even do like the smallest batch of sauerkraut, and just salt it and put
Right.
it in a jar at home. I mean, I think like just one time doing a small batch,
But it has to be a vacuum packed.
It doesn't have to be vacuum packed. It just has to be like weighed down below the brine. So you could put like a jar filled with water on top. Yeah.
In the summers, I think my mom usually makes something like that, but we have water, salt, and we put some mustard, ground mustard seeds. We
Yeah.
put that in there.
Delicious.
And that's what ferments, and a little bit of red chilies.
Mhm.
And then we put beets and carrots in there.
Yeah, and everything like contributes
Yeah.
to the fermentation.
Yeah.
Like all the ingredients. You're probably familiar with dosa,
Yes.
Mhm.
and dosa has like all of these little elements that introduce like interesting bacteria strains, and like the fenugreek
Right.
that you
Right.
add. That
Amazing.
is something you're just like
Mhm.
putting a little sprinkle, but it really enhances the fermentation in its own way because every plant has like a life source
Right.
that affects the fermentation a
changes,
little
yeah.
differently.
So it's not dead food; it's live food.
Live food.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Which is another selling point is that you're eating food that has life and vibration and energy
Mhm.
versus something that's dead.
Right, exactly. And this is why none of these products are shelf stable, right? They have to go in a refrigerator because the pause
It'll
button
change.
is that temperature change. When it's
Mhm.
warm, the bacteria thrives, it grows. When it's cold, it goes into a dormant state,
Mhm.
but it's still alive.
Yeah.
Like you could take it out and set it on the table for 24 hours and it would
Change.
start again.
Yeah.
I'm going home to eat this.
Yeah.
Yes, she
Thank you
bought
so
me one,
much.
and I said, "Wow, I have to eat this." Thank you
Yeah.
so much.
Thank you. Thanks.
Appreciate you doing this with us.
On your day
it was
off.
fun.